Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Brittany, and in today's video we're going to do something different. I'm going to do a voiceover for this entire video, and I've been saying for a while now that I wanted to learn video editing. I have done one other voiceover in a previous video for a portion of the video and where the audio was missing. So if I'm gonna learn video editing, I need to do it, right, guys? So we're gonna give this a try and hopefully it goes well. We'll see how well my audio fits with the images. I'll try not to get distracted as I chat with you guys and tell you what I'm doing also on the screen. So in today's video, it is going to be a budget-friendly introduction to journaling. It's how I got started with journaling, and I wanted to share that with you because I know that I've done a few stationery hauls, and if any of you follow along with that, and you're familiar with the stationery that I get, it's expensive, and it adds up very quickly. This is the most I've ever spent on stationery, excuse me, um, which was in 2023, preparing for all of my planning and journaling systems for 2024. So um, I thought it would be nice to kind of show you guys where I got started, like how I have evolved, and um, to just share with you a way that excuse me, you can start the journaling process in a budget friendly way. But also, this is going to be the first episode in my new series for geocaching. And my geocaching series, I've talked a little bit about it in previous videos. It is going to be an interpretation on urban sketching. And the reason why I didn't start this last year when I first started to talk about it is because when I started geocaching, it was for a tour that my local county's tourism bureau was putting on, and I didn't want to do any videos or urban sketching interpretations of caches or locations in case anybody locally watched my videos. I don't know if anybody local does, but just in case, this way I wouldn't be giving away where the caches were. I didn't want to spoil that tour for anybody. So now that that tour is over, I thought I would go ahead and get started on this um, series. So all the caches have been found, they've all been archived, and it is safe for me to start sketching my experience with finding those. And I'm really excited to do it because urban sketching isn't something I've done before. So because I've already found all the caches, I'm going to be basing my sketches off of photos that I took when I was participating in that geo tour. And that's why I call it an interpretation of urban sketching, because it's not truly in the moment sketching. But I just thought that I would try it. And then what I was thinking is, depending on how that series is received by my viewers, I might do in-person sketching. So if you're interested in urban sketching and you kind of like that series, just like the videos as I put them up and let me know that, you're liking it, you're interested, and then I will consider starting adding videos to the series where I'm out in nature live, and um, you can watch me draw right on the spot. So we'll see how this goes, and we'll base the potential of that inclusion of videos on how this one does. But back to what I'm doing here. I am setting up a template for the holes that I'm going to be punching into the leather. So well, I should say Traveler's Notebooks by Traveler Company is something that I was introduced to by a pen pal. If you've watched any of my previous videos, I very often speak about my pen pals. They're like my family. I love everybody who I write to. Um, it's something that I budget for. I buy stamps like crazy. And obviously my stationery. I really love to pen pal, and I love joining pen pal communities and groups, meeting new people. I have learned so much from my pen pals, including Traveler's Company, Traveler's Factory, Traveler's Notebooks. Well, anyways, so when I was first introduced to it, I thought that they were a little pricey, especially for a planning and journaling system that I had never used before. So I decided to do some research and I watched some videos, I read some articles, I read some blogs, and I basically found some leather suppliers in the United States. I live in the United States, and the company or a group or person that I get the leather from that I'm going to be showing in this video is The Leather Guy. That's the name, The Leather Guy. And I thought that the prices were very reasonable. The quality I was very happy with. I think I started by ordering 3 or 4 pieces of leather that I thought would work for journals, and I've been ordering from them ever since. I'm very pleased with them, and this isn't sponsored or anything. This is just me sharing my experience and what resources I used when I got started. But I was very happy with it. So this template that I'm creating is what I'm going to use to cut the leathers. And here I'm taking out what leathers I have left on hand, um, that I'm going to choose from for my geocaching journal. I thought since I was starting this series, it would be really nice if I just started really from zero with you guys and made the journal that I'm going to be using and all of the upcoming geocache urban sketching videos with you. So that's what we're going to be doing here. The template that I made with the paper before I got the leather out, I used a Japanese hole punch, a screw hole punch to do that, and I just used cardboard underneath it to protect my cutting mat because it will go through a cutting mat. Ask me how I knew that. Even though that's a self-healing mat, those hole punches are very, very sharp. So do keep that in mind. This piece of leather that I'm rolling up now is actually a hair on hide leather. My first geocaching or traveler's notebook that I created was a hair on hide, and I loved it. Um, I still have it, and I don't use it as often. It is kind of like a personal preference type leather. If I mean, it takes a little getting used to, but what I'm doing when I like flick the corners of the leather or when I bend it over is I'm trying to show you the flexibility of the leather and give you a little hint of like the spring back in the leather. Like this floral one here, you can see it just flops everywhere. It is a thicker leather, but the flexibility of it, it's very movable, whereas some of the other ones are a little bit more stiff. They're more firm. So when I'm bending it in half, I'm also trying to give you an idea not only of the flexibility but of the thickness. When you're working with leathers, leather is measured and weighed a little bit differently than, say, cotton fabric or cork fabric. Excuse me. So there I am bending it again, telling you that it is a good flexibility and thickness for the journal that I'm going to be making. And basically, the thickness of the leather is gauged. You use a little gauge to kind of pinch the leather, and it weighs it by ounces, and that's the equivalent of the weight. So the piece that I'm working with is between 3 to 5 ounces, and that to me has, in my experience, it's been a pretty good weight of leather for a travel notebook. It holds up good. It's pretty firm. Obviously, if you get different types of leather, this is gonna, have a little bit of a difference. This is, I believe, is an oil tanned leather that I decided to go with. And if memory serves, I believe this is the Mulberry Fields, if you want the same color. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm taking that template that I made and I'm just putting it against the leather to trim down the leather because the leather is too big for the journal that I want to make. And If you're wondering about like the measurements that I'm going by, I'm not going by any measurements. When I started making books about a year and a half, going on 2 years ago now, I was a little overwhelmed by all the different names and sizes and types. Like you've got A5, B6, you have your slims, your regulars, your passport, your field notes, your pockets. And I took a lot of notes, I wrote a lot of measurements down, but when I started to make books, I found that I didn't even reference them. I eyeballed things and I went off of what felt good. So for me, this is comparable to a traveler's notebook. Um, but like the ones that I have up in my store, if you've ever browsed my store or if you go to my store afterwards to check them out, those are ones that I've just like, that's my own size. That's not the same as any other company. So if you were to buy an insert, say from Traveler's Company or Amazon or wherever, Etsy, somebody made one, it's probably not going to fit because I don't have that as a standard size. That's just one that I eyeballed and that I liked and that I use regularly. Here again, I'm doing the same thing. Sorry for the background noise. It's a huge truck going by. um, Here again, I'm putting that cardboard behind the leather because when you go through the leather, it can still puncture your mat. So just keep that in mind when if you use a Japanese screw punch, hole punch, they're very sharp. The elastic that I'm using is a 2 millimeter black. I've also used 3 millimeter. I believe this one is 2 millimeter though, and it goes pretty well, excuse me, pretty well with I think it's the second hole of the Japanese screw. I got a little Japanese screw hole punch off of Amazon and it came with 5 bits. And the second hole bit is the one that this 2 millimeter black elastic goes in well. And you can see when I was cutting the elastic, I did not measure it. I just eyeballed it. So I'm gonna start threading the cover now. I did not cut, if you notice, the far right side of the leather because I want a closure flap on this journal. I've made probably 20 of these journals to date and maybe a little bit more. And I've noticed that as much as I like a straight edge, as I'm filling up my inserts and they're really getting bulky, sometimes the closure elastic can cause some damage to the insert and the pages or whatever I have like tipped in, hanging out. So I wanted to try to make one with a flap and a closure flap. So this is the first one that I'm making. You guys are seeing it first here. Um, that's going to have a closure flap. And we're going to see how this works out. You're going to get to see me use it over and over and over, excuse me, in this geocaching series that I'm starting. And then I'm going to do another video too, uh, probably following up on this one, where I'm going to create the inserts. So another reason why I started to make my journals is because what was available by stationery suppliers I thought was really plain. It was kind of uniform, and I like bright, bold colors. I like patterns. I like things that catch your attention, that stand out, and that are really unique and different. So I kind of felt boxed in when I was browsing for my first traveler's notebooks and journals. And so I started to experiment with inserts as well. And I would take cardstock and I would print on them, I would draw on them, paint on them until I was satisfied. And that's always an option for you. If you're a very creative person, you don't even have to be that crafty or creative to come up with something that's unique to you. If you feel like just a plain craft insert is fine, then by all means. But if you want, your journal to be a little different and more characteristic of, you and your personality, then There are tons of ways that you can customize and personalize your journals. Here, what I'm showing you is that after you tie your insert elastics, it's okay if the leather curls in on itself. You're going to want to have tension like that with your insert elastics because over time and with use, these elastics are going to stretch out. But once you put your inserts in, this will help to straighten out your leather cover. So don't worry if it starts to curl in. That's completely fine. It might be a little difficult for you to work with, um, as you're putting things together. But once you get like your first or second insert in, it will straighten out and become easier to work with. Next, I am preparing the closure elastic, and I do use a lighter to singe the ends of the elastic because I feel like that goes through the holes a lot better. I'm picking out a charm, some decoration that I would like to put on the journal, and since geocaching is usually an outdoor activity, most commonly, I'm going to do the Traveler's Company little bear that they usually have available at Christmas time because I think it's symbolic of outdoors. Now, excuse me, when you do put your insert in, the 2 millimeter is fine, single thread going through a bit 2 hole. However, when you try to put 2 threads or strands into that bit hole, you're going to have a little bit of resistance. So I use a thread eye to pull it through. And basically, my advice I can give on this is to hold the eye threader um, by the metal pieces, not the plastic handle, so that it doesn't break. And then to only take the very tip of the elastic through the eye threader to pull through the hole. This way you don't have as much difficulty. And then once you have that all set up, you can adjust the tension however you like. Just do keep in mind that if you cut your elastic a little short, you're gonna probably um, run out of elastic for your knot. So if you want to measure, you can. I just eyeball things. Mine worked out fine this time, but you guys have seen me make plenty of eyeballing errors before. So just use your best judgment. Go with what feels right. These inserts now that I'm using to fill up my journal are a variety. These particular ones right here are from Amazon. They are kind of very similar to a Hobonichi Weeks. And then the other two are actually Traveler Company inserts. And if you notice, the holes that I punched in this particular leather cover are different than a traditional Traveler notebook. I use 3 holes instead of 2 because this allows for more inserts. Whenever I journal, I typically like to have a variety of inserts. So I usually do a plain notebook for sketching, a dot grid, a lined notebook, and a graph grid. And so having the 3 holes allows for a minimum of 4 inserts, and you can get elastic extenders to add more in. Just keep in mind that any more than 4, you might need some more leather, like a longer piece of leather. And here I cut my elastic for my closure too long, so I'm just going to move that knot closer to the center and tighten it up a little bit. So that's all that I'm doing there. But you can see as I'm closing it and playing around with it that this is very nice. I mean, I know that you can get the little pieces of leather to put on your closure elastic, but I like this. But that's what I have for you guys. I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.